Hello, my name is Osrin Fire, and it's a little bit delayed, but I am finally ready to talk about the voyage of the Gerald Shannara, Morgawr. Can't not cover the name, Morgawr, or however you pronounce that, I'm not totally sure. When I say it that way, it sounds more like I'm saying some sort of weird cutesy Japanese thing. But anyway, I'm ready to talk about it finally. As you may notice, there's a little bit of decoration behind my head. I'm not going to talk about it. Good luck figuring it out. But, yes, I wanted to talk a little bit. Oh, okay. That didn't need to be in the background. Not that it matters that much. It's just the instructions for the disc plates that are behind my head. I'm still not going to talk about them though, because this is not the video to do that in. So anyway, But anyway, I will tell you. So, book review. Let's get to it. I will tell you right now. I'm happy with it. I loved it. It was a great conclusion to the trilogy, and it was a very interesting read. I really like I said for the previous two books as well. I absolutely loved this series. I think I enjoy it more now than I did when I was younger. Though, funnily enough, and this is going to come in the next video, I actually do have a little issue. I do actually have a big issue with it. But that doesn't come in this review. This is just talking about this book specifically. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was excellently paced. I thought the characters were well developed, well fleshed out. I thought that the story itself concluded, splendidly. It was very engaging all the way through. The introduction of all these new wrinkles, the Morgawr's pursuit of the expedition and the expedition's pursuit, and the final confrontation. The revelation of what's going on. Obviously, I had just read Wish Song, not very long ago, so I knew exactly what Walker was doing when he touched Grianne at the end of the last book. I knew that he was making her his successor. I just thought the entire thing was just really good to read. And of course, in this one, for once, the dwarf survives. Panax the dwarf survives. Admittedly, he doesn't return to the Four Lands because he decides to stay with the natives. He decides to stay with the Ringe. And in a certain sense, it feels kind of like he died anyway because of that. But he did live. And that counts for something because he's the first major dwarf to go on an adventure, to actually be part of the adventuring party that actually doesn't die. I think he might be the only one too. I don't remember I know there's a dwarf in the next series, but I don't remember what happens to him. Either way, though, Panax the dwarf survives. Terry Brooks still hates his dwarves, but I think he gave it a little more. I think he gave Panax at least a chance to not only do impressive things, but to actually live through doing impressive things. I'm proud of him for writing that. I do have an issue with this book, though. Of course I do. When do I not have issues with these books? I wouldn't have much to say, honestly, when I like something, it is what it is, and it's very rare. It's much more likely than something worth saying if it's criticism than if it is praise. Unless it's something that's like so praiseworthy that emotionally I can just kind of like engage on it for a long period of time. But I did notice something in this book that really kind of bothered me. And that was the Morgawr's fleet. Because of course at the end of the last book, it is revealed that an airship fleet has arrived off the coast of Parcasia, and the Gerald Shannara is in perfect view to see it. And of course it's the Morgawr's fleet. The Morgawr's brought a fleet of airships crewed, by zombies and Wellrets to hunt down Walker and his expedition and the Ilsa Witch and her group. And I've always been a little bit like And And I was thinking about it. I'm like, there's something about this that doesn't sit right with me. And it finally clicked. It's the fact that Morgawr has a fleet at all. You know, the fact that he was able to get together like 2,000 or so ships and pursue, you know, these 2 other airships across the Pacific Ocean, because that's what it is, you know, and hunt them down and chase them down. And that bothers me so much because it doesn't really mesh with what we know. In Ilsewich, it is heavily implied that, you know, because this journey is going to be dangerous and it's going to, you know, take a lot out of the people who are going on it, that they need that the ships that need to undergo this voyage need to be sturdy. They need to be capable of making the journey, enduring storms, enduring the long distances, carrying the supplies to keep the people aboard fed, right? And somehow, inexplicably, the Morgawr just is able to get Sen Dunstan to just give him, and Sen Dunstan, the new Prime Minister of the Federation, thanks to Morgawr's own meddling, to just give him 24 ships that are capable of making the transoceanic journey. I mean, I will grant you that, of course, it's going to be easier because half his crew doesn't need to eat or sleep or anything, so you only need half the provisions you need, but you still need enough provisions for, you know, your little well-rich strike teams, as it were. You know, you need the provisions for them, even if you don't need it for the crews, which have been zombified by the Morgawr consuming their brains, you know. And I just think I think it's not very well thought out. I know why Terry Brooks does it. You know, it's to up the ante after the threat and danger of anthrax. But it's kind of like, where did all these because the thing about it is that, like I was saying, the Jural Shannara and Black Moclips are ships that are basically top of the line. You know, airships were invented 30 years earlier, and these 2 ships are the best of the best. You know, these are the best airships you can find. You know, and crewed properly, they will take you farther than you could possibly imagine. And that's exactly what happens. You know, these 2 ships go on this long journey, and this journey is harsh and unforgiving, right? And they're far from any support, from repairs, from, you know, from anything, right? And in this book, suddenly Morgawr's just like, I got 24 ships, no big deal, NBD. And it just feels really kind of dumb, actually. There's no really getting around it. It's kind of dumb. You know, if the journey really was this much of a burden, why in the world would the Morgawr be able to just get 24 ships? Why in the world would Sen Dunstan just have 24 ships that he could have lying around? I understand Federation Prime Minister, but it feels like they're, as tyrannical as the Federation is, it feels like there is, at least internally, you know, some level of like restraint on the kind of restraint you would find in a modern day republic or democracy, you know, against like exercising that sort of thing. You know, like how do 200 prisoners just disappear without someone saying, "Hey, what's going on, guys?" You know, how do you just have 24 airships? And some of them sound like they're captured freeborn airships. You know, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And again, I understand why Terry Brooks did it. He did it because anthrax was a big threat, and he felt like he had to up the ante, but he just kind of fell into a trap doing that. If you want my honest to goodness opinion, the best way he could have done it is if instead of the Morgawr having like 24 ships, he has just like half a dozen. You know, I could totally, given that he zombifies his crews, I could totally understand and see I could totally see just having half a dozen airships, right? Because what Terry Brooks really needed to do after Anthrax was bring the focus in more. He needed to focus it in and make the threat and the struggle, instead of making it big and expansive like it was against Anthrax, because Anthrax, like, you know, explodes your concept of what the old world was like. You know, the old world is clearly more advanced than our modern world right now. It was more advanced than the modern world of the early 2000s, and still more advanced of the modern world of our day. You know, Anthrax is clearly an advanced AI, you know, capable of running, you know, dozens, if not hundreds, of machines simultaneously. It uses lasers for defense, and, you know, and all these things. But where was I going with that? But you know, that expands our concept of what Anthrax is and what Anthrax is protecting and everything. By the way, notice that Anthrax is still using disks, which I think is funny because since that time we've created solid state drives and so forth, and disks as a form of storage, while still obviously very present in the world, are actually on the decline. But anyway, but what was I saying? I keep getting distracted by these realizations. But no, and Terry Brooks tried to make the threat bigger by making the Morgawr bigger and oppressive, and he's all over the place and they can't evade him, right? And it's just like, no, he should have just made it smaller. The Morgawr can already track them with its magic, right? So he doesn't really need to have like 24 airships combing the entire region of Parcasia. He could just have a small fleet, maybe spread it out a little bit to stop them from like slipping through the net, and that would be sufficient. And you don't need like 6 airships hounding each group of people, you know, hounding Back and Gran and Truls Roke, and hounding Quentin and Panax and the Ringe, and hounding and capturing Aaron and Ryord Star. You know, you could just have it so that you could just write it so that the groups of our hero groups just kind of converge sooner. They converge sooner, or they're pushed in the same general direction, you know, by seeing the airship chase from above. You know, you could just do that. You know, I don't see why we have to make it so that this improbable fleet reaches Parcasia and it's just, you know, I think it's a little bit frustrating because it doesn't ruin the experience. I still love the book. I love the book for what it is, but slightly sharper and smarter writing, I think, would have done it wonders. It would have done the voyage. It would have done this third book wonders. But that is my biggest complaint with this book. Like I said, I do have a pretty big thing to say about this series, but that will come in the following video. But for now, thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I know I don't feel like I talked about the book enough, but I don't know. I feel like I have more to say about the broader plot than I do about the book in particular. So I did want to talk about that one thing on a smaller scale first. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll be back in, I don't know, whenever I release. I don't know when I'm releasing these. I gotta edit them first. Future me, you know the deal. Anyway, until next time, everybody.